So do you guys want to hear something absolutely insane? Almost every dental practice has team members who don't want to implement new procedures, even if it can grow a practice and improve patient experience. I know this because I have taught over 150 dentists how to implement aligners in their practices, and they all tell me the number one thing that they struggle with is getting their team on board with this procedure. And I'm going to show you all this to show you that there is one simple method that, when implemented correctly, can get your team motivated to do aligners in a way that works for everybody. But it wasn't always like this. See, when I started implementing aligners in my practice, I got a lot of pushback from the team all the time. I was always struggling to find a way to get them to be involved in the process without having to do all the work myself so that we could treat more patients. And I spent over 1,000 hours and I tried countless strategies, and I found more ways on how to actually do this procedure the wrong way before I figured out the best way to get my team on board to implement aligners in our practice. Now I'm going to save you the thousands of hours and battle scars and just tell you how to get your team motivated to do aligners. And the way that you're going to want to do this is by what we call the team treat approach. Okay, and so in this training, we're going to talk about why the team doesn't want to do it. Then we're going to go over the common mistakes that dentists make. And then finally, I will break down step by step exactly what the team treat approach is. Just a reminder, this training works for all brands, so it does not matter which aligner brand that you're using. You can take these strategies and implement them in your practice. Have you ever tried to introduce a new procedure to your team and they just want nothing to do with it? Let me tell you a story about Sarah, my hygienist. She loved her routine and disliked change. And when I introduced aligners, my team, including Sarah, were skeptical because they all felt like it was just another burden, right? And so to help, I brought in the aligner territory rep who showed the procedure's benefits. But despite the initial struggles, Sarah slowly saw positive results, especially with the patient named Mr. Thompson. Over time, the team got better. The patient satisfaction increased and the practice thrived. Sarah, who was once resistant, became a strong advocate, and she inspired the rest of the team to embrace the change and improve patient care. And so the biggest reasons why teams are resistant to doing aligners is because of the following: the amount of time that it takes, because they feel as though they don't have enough time in their current schedule. They do not like change, and it's another thing to do on top of everything else that they're already doing, and they don't understand the power of it, not to mention that they're stuck in their routine and they really like the old way of doing things. And so every dentist makes these mistakes when trying to get their team to implement a new procedure. So let me tell you a story about Tom and a dentist that I worked with, all right? So Tom, dental assistant, loved his routine, didn't like change. So it's when a dentist that I work with demanded the team started to use a new digital scanner so that way they could do wellness scans. And the team was frustrated, especially because the doctor didn't ask them about their struggles, right? And so to help, he brought in a rep to teach them, but the doc didn't take any ownership of the process itself. And so despite that initial resistance and feeling unsupported, Tom and the team started to adapt, right? The patients noticed that the stress and the inconsistency was happening in the practice. And so that led to a decreased satisfaction over time. The team's morale as a whole dropped during this time, the efficiency plummeted, and the practice suffered. Tom, who was once dedicated, felt disillusioned, right? And the lack of support ultimately hurt the practice's reputation and patient care. And so let's just talk about the mistakes that dentists make when trying to get the team on board to implement. First of all, they demand that they do it as opposed to telling them or asking them. And then they pair the scanning with only aligner procedures. This is a problem because when you try to bottleneck scanning to only relate to one procedure, you're really discrediting the rest of the benefits that it has. Scanning is not just meant to work with only aligners. It is supposed to help the entire practice, and it's supposed to help the patients visualize what is going on in their mouth, and that can lead to more treatment outside of just aligners. Another mistake that dentists make is they don't ask the team what is it exactly that they're struggling with to be able to implement those scans. And then on top of that, what seems like the easiest solution is actually a pretty big mistake. A lot of dentists will rely on reps to come in or a consultant to come and teach the team, and what they don't do is they don't take ownership of the process. And so when that rep or that consultant leaves and the dentist actually didn't have anything to do with the implementation process, all the systems and the tools go right out the door with that person, right? So it starts with the dentist. Now, have you ever wanted to do a new procedure so badly that you just decided to start doing it by yourself and didn't even involve your team? So when I first started doing aligners, I wanted my team to help me so that the process didn't solely rely on me. And when I brought it up at a morning huddle, they just looked at me and they kept going about their day day, and they weren't really that interested in helping. And so this threw me for a loop, because I knew that if I didn't have my team on board, this would not be sustainable long term. And so after I tried to do every step of the process on my own, I actually did find success in the end, but I burnt out. I knew that I needed to take the time to sit with them and see what their concerns were about doing this new procedure. I sat down with each one of the team members and I asked them what they were struggling with and how I could help them. And once they told me their problems, I gave them solutions on how I could help them make it easier for them to implement the procedure. And so they ended up enjoying the process, and now they take complete ownership of their roles. This showed me the importance of getting on the same page with my team before expecting them to just do what I say. Now, let's break down the team treat approach so that way you can see exactly how this works step by step. And so the first aspect of it is top-down leadership. And what I mean by this is the dentist is the person who needs to take ownership of the process from the beginning. Then everybody has to realize that they play a pivotal role in the process. Everyone from the assistant to the office manager to everybody in between, okay? And then the third part of this is you have to start somewhere, right? And so I like to tell teams, you need to start with just 2 scans a day. The ultimate goal is going to be to scan every patient. However, you start with 2, and that's a great place to build off of. Taking that a step further, right? In the future, the way that the process should work is that every new patient gets a scan, and then at every visit that the patient is not getting x-rays taken whenever they go in for their hygiene or recare appointments, a scan should be taken instead. The reason why is because when you have scans over a 6-month or a year period, or even longer, you can show the patients the progression of the health of their teeth, whether it's improving, staying the same, or getting worse. These are all super powerful images and data points to share with the patients so that way they can actually see what is going on with their mouth, and it helps them to realize the urgency in the need for treatment. Now, I want to let you guys know I am the founder of Clear Aligner Advisor, and we have helped over 150 dentists integrate aligners into their practice, and they've all gone on to generate over $9 million in revenue from aligners alone. I got a bunch of free training and resources at clearalineradvisor.co. That's our website. 2 of the courses are Aligner Blueprint and Aligner Launchpad, both of which are designed to help dentists implement aligners into their practice with various levels of support. You can check me out on Instagram at dr.avi. So if you're interested in growing your practice without having to pay $1 in marketing, I made this video just for you. Go check it out.